You hear these grand promises all the time, right? On the world stage, leaders are telling us that AI is going to be for everyone, a powerful tool for global good. But then you get back to the office, and that promise, it's turning into a mandate. Companies are literally forcing employees to adopt AI, whether they like it or not. So today, we're going to dig into that huge gap between the promise of AI and its kind of messy reality. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How do we get from this beautiful utopian vision of AI for all to corporate policies that are basically threatening to fire people who don't use it? That's the big question we're unpacking. So let's dive in. So to really get this, our story starts at the AI Impact Summit in New Delhi. Now, this was a big deal because for the first time ever, this global get-together was held in a developing nation. And that really set the stage for this grand, almost idealistic vision of what AI's future could be. And this quote from the UN Secretary General, it just captured the whole vibe of the summit perfectly. The idea was basically treat AI as a global public good. Let's use it to bridge that tech divide between the richer countries and the developing world. Let's make sure everybody gets to share in the benefits. And look, this wasn't just a bunch of empty words. To prove they were serious, India's government put up a $1.1 billion fund to become a global AI powerhouse. And on top of that, private giants like Reliance Industries are pledging hundreds of billions more for things like data centers. So yeah, the ambition was backed by some very, very serious cash. But you know how it is. Even with all this talk of unity and working together, the human drama playing out right there on stage told a totally different story. One full of bitter competition and some super awkward moments. So get this picture. In a moment that was supposed to symbolize global cooperation, all these tech leaders are on stage with India's prime minister, and they're supposed to raise their joined hands together. But two guys didn't connect, Sam Altman from OpenAI and Dario Amodei from Anthropic. These two rivals pointedly refused to hold hands. I mean, it's a small thing, but it spoke volumes about the intense rivalry bubbling just under the surface. And it didn't stop there. Their speeches just drove the point home. Altman comes out, he's eloquent, he's tackling these big, visionary global issues. And then Amodei, well, his speech was described as generic and uninspired. He literally read this tired old speech right off his iPhone, a move that, as you can imagine, got him roasted online for just not seeming to care. And this is where people started to get a little cynical. This quote from an engineer, Sean Wang, just nails it. Was this summit about actual, genuine progress, or was it just a big performance? It makes you ask if these massive events actually change anything for the real people they're claiming to help. All right, so let's shift gears. Let's leave the global summits behind and zoom right into the office cubicle. We're going to see how this big push for AI is playing out, not for countries, but for individual employees. And spoiler alert, that AI for everyone vision is starting to feel a lot more like a top-down order. So take Walmart, for example. After a 17-year reign, Amazon swooped in and took their spot as the world's biggest company by revenue. Ouch. So what does Walmart do? They go all in on AI to fight back. Their shopping assistant, Sparky, is a huge part of this. And get this, it's actually working. Customers who use Sparky end up with shopping baskets that are 35% larger. That's huge. And over at Amazon, oh, they're watching. They are watching very closely. Their internal system called Clarity is now tracking how much employees are using AI tools, and not just their own tools, but external ones too. In performance reviews, they're even asking people to show exactly how they've force multiplied using AI, which is basically corporate speak for how did you use AI to get more done with fewer people. But if you think that's intense, you haven't seen anything yet. Let's talk about the consulting giant Accenture. They've gone way beyond just tracking and encouraging. They've put a strict new policy in place. Adopt AI, or your career here is pretty much over. And here's how they're doing it, and it's super systematic. First, they offered training, but now they're tracking exactly how often senior employees use their key AI tools. And those metrics? They're tied directly to performance reviews. Now, using these tools is a requirement for getting promoted. And if you don't get on board, well, you'll be exited from the company. Yeah. So why? Why go this hard? Well, it turns out the company is finding that its senior managers are the biggest AI holdouts. They're often described as being more set in their ways. But Accenture's whole strategy is to be an AI-enabled partner for its clients. And with their stock price taking a beating, they feel like they just can't afford to wait around anymore. And if you want to know what that pressure looks like in a single number, here it is, a 17% drop in stock value this year alone. That kind of drop lights a fire under you, right? For the leadership at Accenture, getting everyone to use AI isn't just a nice goal. They're treating it like it's a matter of financial survival. Okay, so this is what it all boils down to, right? If these AI tools are so amazing, so revolutionary, and create so much value, why in the world do you have to force your employees to use them? Well, the answer might just be in this brutally honest piece of feedback from someone inside Accenture. One source called the company's mandatory AI tools broken slop generators. Wow. That suggests there's a massive disconnect between the tools leadership is pushing and what employees are actually dealing with every day. And you know what? This isn't just one person's opinion. Across all kinds of industries, the number one reason people aren't adopting these tools isn't because they're stubborn. It's because they have no time. They say they don't have the bandwidth to learn new tech that's supposed to save them time. And the second biggest complaint, the tools they're being given just aren't very good. And really, this quote from Hedgie just wraps it all up perfectly. It cuts right to the heart of this whole AI mandate. Is this forceful approach the only way to drive progress? Or is it a huge red flag that maybe, just maybe, the AI revolution isn't quite as ready for the workplace as its champions want us to believe?